Oh, happy Friday, everybody. Another week in the bag, and it has been a heck of a week. But look, we got it all under control, ready to bring you another great episode of Cocktails with Cav, where we bring the author meet and greets to you. And look, as always, please follow us, share the show so more people can get to know these incredible indie creators and their fantastic work. Check our X shop on our profile or our link tree. Look, you'll have all the links you need from tonight's show, including the superb crime fiction novel by tonight's guest. So by all means, check that out as well. And if you're feeling really froggy, look, hang around for 10 p.m. Central. We'll be coming to you with the Cocktails with Cav After Hours live show. That's where producer Drunk Doug and I unwind from all this great content creation and catch up on hot topics and news. So you can even join in the conversation there. So stick around for that. Well, let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage the amazing crime fiction author, Christine Boyer. Oh, Christine, I am so happy to have you on the show. I'm telling you what, this job has its perks. I'm so excited. Your book just launched October 1st, and we're looking forward to getting it out there. It's incredible work. But how you doing up there in Massachusetts?
I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Oh, hey, the pleasure's all mine. I tell you what, I've been so happy. You come highly recommended.
I would hate to know who's highly recommending me. It's a frightening prospect, but thank you.
Oh, well, where you at in Massachusetts?
So I am in what's called the Metro West of Boston. So I'm about 20 miles outside of Boston proper. If you consider the Massachusetts Turnpike, I am pretty much smack dab between Worcester to the west and Boston to the east. It's a town called Framingham.
Ah, nice. Yeah, that's a nice place. Boston's surprisingly clean, that's
It is. It's a nice city. I love it. I've been here about 6 years now, and I'm a big fan.
Yeah, the last time I visited in June, it was my mother, my old Italian mother, got in a fight with the Italian bakery people on the north side because there was no pistachios on the cannoli. So it was
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big fight. I think I even put it all over X. I was like following the saga.
She fits in right with the culture of the North End, then, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Getting feisty about food.
All 5 feet of her. Oh, geez, Christine. Well, we love to let the audience get to know the creators. I just have a great time meeting and greeting all you guys and bringing it to the audience. So please tell us a little about yourself and how we got to this incredible work we're going to talk about in a few minutes.
How we got here. So my name is Christine Boyer. I'm originally from Pennsylvania and now live in Massachusetts for the past 5 or 6 years. I have a day job entirely unrelated to writing, but writing is sort of my real passion. And I've sort of been working at this writing thing ever since I was in high school. I've published some okay poems. I've got some short stories that I've published. I had a piece of creative nonfiction that did pretty well. And my novel Black Mariah is my debut. And as you said, it was it's out now. It came out yesterday. And I'm very proud of it.
Well, I tell you what, that is it is. It's great that it dropped, and like I said, we were looking forward to it for a while. And you do. You have some incredible short stories, links on your website. from your not so distant past. But and of course the links to your website will be in the description of the show, so please everybody check it out. But yeah, and poetries and essays and things. Tell us a little bit about that aspect of your writing, because I get really, you know, I get really intrigued when people go across multiple genres and get in it, you know, but it's part of the craft, you know?
It absolutely is. I always kind of feel that, the different modes of writing sort of inform each other. I think poetry is a completely different muscle than screenwriting or novel writing, but I think, poetry can sort of teach you to be very choosy about your words and very economical with your words if you were writing a novel. And on the other hand, something like writing a novel is completely different because you have all this space and word count to really dig into, background, B plots, characterization, things like that. So I think, they all sort of have their little overlaps, and I think they can inform each other and sort of help build up on each other as well.
Well, I think so. And yeah, you definitely have a slightly prolific list of short stories and poetry. But no, that's great. And I definitely encourage all the viewers to check those out as well. So yeah, and you and of course you've been involved a while with literature, of course, even from college, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I started out as a creative writing major in my undergrad, and then I saw the seniors in my program graduating and not finding jobs. So I, sort of had this dark night of the soul where I thought, okay, I need to maybe major in something that can pay the bills, and writing can always sort of be like the passion project I do in the evenings and weekends. And so that was sort of the path I took. And it's worked out so far. I have my day job that pays the mortgage, and I have my writing in the evening. And so I sort of have the best of both worlds, I think.
Right. And I tell you, that's we talk a lot with indie creators that day job thing, that pesky paying the bills, it's and it is. And that's one of the reasons, heck, we started the show. I love, personally, I'm a huge fan of getting to go to those events like meet and greets and, getting to meet the creators. And one of the reasons we started the show, so we could bring it to the audience, but because people don't realize how hard indie creators work,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you have to be everything from creator to marketer, right?
Yeah, I always tell my writing group, like, and they're probably tired of hearing me whine about it, but like, I kind of like, I miss the days where like Ernest Hemingway would just write a book and then give it to his publishing firm, and then he could go away and just go write another book, and he didn't have to like try to like shuck and jive on Instagram or do like funny dances on TikTok with his book to sell it.
Shuck and jive on Instagram.
Yeah, it's a bygone world, and so it's very different now. I think trying to get our work out there, but it is what it is, I guess.
It's true. My job as an indie creator is the only thing like Hemingway. I create, and then I just go back to drinking like Ernest used to do.
You sit in your little island and with your six-toed cats and
and my Hawaiian shirts, obviously,
exactly,
right? Yeah, everybody a huge fan of the Cocktails with Cav Hawaiian shirts, but yeah, that's no, you're right. I mean, it's the landscape has definitely changed, and there's a lot of discussion about legacy publishing and, almost like legacy media when you hear the talks about it, being the gatekeepers of what gets seen by the public. And it's especially true in literature, obviously. And I think, this entire self-publishing thing, or small independent publishing things that we've gotten into, has given us a great advantage as indie writers anyway.
Absolutely. I think it's tough because at the end of the day, publishing is a business, and people have to make money and make enough money to pay the people that work for you. But it's very tough, like you said, with gatekeepers, and especially if you're trying to go with the traditional publishing. First, you got to find an agent, and that's extremely hard. And then that agent has to go out and sell your book, and that's extremely hard. And I think sometimes, the art behind writing or whatever, sort of in this indie scene gets lost because they're looking at like profit margins. What's selling right now? Is it vampire romance novels? Is it, I don't know, hard sci-fi? Like, what is selling right now in the market? What do we think we can sell? And I think we miss out on a lot of really compelling, artful stories as a result.
Yeah, and it is true. And, so like I said, the technology's enabled us to at least get our work published and get it out there. But, as we just kind of talked about it, it's on us to shuck and jive on social media.
But, like you said, though, it's if you would have told me as a kid in the 80s who lived in a town that didn't have a library, that someday I would have a device where I could download, a story or, a novel and have it on this device within seconds and be able to read, I would have said that sounds like an amazing future to be a part of. So, there's good and bad, but I think the accessibility for, independent artists is fantastic.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And, it's like everything has its pros and cons, but, we're out here giving elbow grease, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, do you plan on, since, Black Mariah just launched October 1st, you plan on doing any in-person events and things like that? I think it's a lost art in marketing that, a lot of authors have settled into being in front of the computer and pumping on social media and things of that nature and websites. But, do you plan on doing any in-person events for it?
I'm trying to. I've been, querying some of the local bookstores. We have a pretty good independent bookstore scene where I'm at in the Boston area and in the Metro West. So I'm trying to, work on those relationships and see what maybe we can do. And even our local library here has really been doing a lot of sort of genre-themed events. They had a spooky book sale, book fair not that long ago, like really sort of based around scary and horror type books. So I think I just have to go out and find it. So I've been, sort of testing the waters, sending out emails, introducing myself and getting myself out there. So I'd like to, ideally.
Oh, nice. Well, that'll be great. Well, you already taken the first step to literature success, being on the Cocktails with Cav show. That's it. You're well on your way, young lady.
This is where it all begins, right?
That's right. Oh, well, Christine, look, I'm gonna go refill my drink here because I am thirsty to talk about your incredible work that's just come out October 1st. So when we get back, look, let's go ahead and talk about Black Mariah when we get back.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, everybody, got to pay those bills. Quick mid-roll break real fast. Look, as an Amazon affiliate, I only advertise products I truly believe in, and I wanted to give everyone a heads up on this incredible product that I use myself, especially when traveling. You cannot go wrong with the Camrui Mini Desktop PC. With 16 gigs DDR4 RAM, as well as a 512 gig hard drive, it's as powerful as the big, huge desktop I have at home in my office. And when I'm traveling, look, you can see it fits in the palm of your hand. It's so easy to travel with. With its multiple HDMI ports, I just simply plug it into the TV in my RV or hotel room, and I have as much computing power as I need to even produce my Cocktails with Cav show on the road. So if you're in the market for a PC, please check out our affiliate link in the description. It is so incredibly inexpensive, you're not going to believe it. So do yourself a favor, go click that affiliate link and check it out. You'll be glad you did. Oh, Christine, thanks for hanging with me through Mid-roll break. I'm telling you, I'm excited. But oh, please, by all means, like we said just before the break, just launched October 1st. Your incredible work, Black Mariah. And like I said, the job has its perks. I was way ahead of the ball game. But please, by all means, tell us about this great work and let everybody get to know about it.
Yeah, so Black Mariah is a crime noir novel. It's set in the early 1970s in a Rust Belt, Pennsylvania town. It opens with the tragic murder of a child, the grandson and heir apparent of the town's, founder. And the story really follows a pair of detectives as they sort of race against the clock to solve the murder, and their investigation takes them sort of deep into the past of this town and its founding. One of the things they always teach you in writing school is to write what you know. And so Black Mariah is based pretty heavily on a composite of places where I grew up in Pennsylvania in the 80s and 90s. And it's kind of a composite of some of the people I grew up with as well. So it's sort of a deeply personal story. And the other thing they sort of teach you is write what you know, but also write the book that you want to read. And I'm a great fan of mystery and crime novels, but I think where I've always sort of felt like there might be a little bit of, a lack is in sort of more rural-based, mysteries and crime. You've got James Elroy out on the West Coast. He writes these amazing stories set in LA with the LAPD. You have Dennis Lehane here in Boston who writes these amazing, like really, really great stories set in Boston. But I always sort of had a hard time finding the stories that were sort of set in the place where I grew up. And so write what you know and write the story that you want to read. It just sort of made sense to sort of write about this fictionalized version of where I grew up, maybe set like a decade before I, was on the scene, but really just sort of try to capture the atmosphere and the landscape and, some of the characters that I grew up with.
Well, I tell you, the story sounds fascinating, especially, when you speak about, getting into the history of the town as the story progresses or whatever, which is also to me is a fascinating aspect because, the town almost becomes a character as well,
Yeah, very much so. I mean, the town I grew up in, by the time I was born, it's not even a town anymore. It's got 1,000 people. I think it still has a post office just because you can't make people drive an hour for their mail. But it had its boom. It had its boom time. It was a boom town when the coal mines were running at the turn of the century, like through the 20s and 30s and into the 50s. But it was tailing off then. So really, by the time I was born, the population had dwindled. When it was at its peak, it had an opera house, it had hotels, it had, pretty much everything in a functional city would have. And then when I came along, if people read my bio on my website, it's got one traffic light, it's got a funeral home, it's got a gas station. So it was really sort of fascinating to me growing up, in a place like that where, it had its heyday and its heyday is gone. It's probably not going to come again. And also while you're living there, you can sort of see the vestiges of its heyday. Like, there's still old mines that are sort of leaching into the water. There's old mine equipment. So it was just sort of natural to me, I think, to sort of make the town a character.
Yeah, and I think that, despite what we're used to seeing in popular, literature and popular movies, you're right. That rural, I think it'll resonate with a lot of people. I mean, because I know a lot of towns exactly like you described, and
Yeah.
Here in Louisiana, just outside of New Orleans, it's
Yeah, and I think these sorts of places get overlooked, especially in the national media. The media tends to focus on either coast, the West Coast, the East Coast, and they sort of talk about the middle section of the country and the southern section of the country as flyover territory. And I think it's, a little bit disheartening because there's people in these places and, they have rich lives, they have diverse lives, and their stories are worth telling. It's not one-dimensional at all. So I kind of wanted to highlight both the good and bad in these types of places and show that they are, fully realized places that, people have forgotten.
Yeah, that's true. And I tell you though, and then on top of that, just the great plot and story, right? Do we get any scoop on Cocktails with Cav? Little tidbit spoiler, maybe not a spoiler because y'all gotta buy the book. That's what I'm talking about. But it's maybe a little tidbit.
A little tidbit is it is really more of a why done it than a who done it. So for readers who really want to wait until the last chapter to know who did it, this is probably not the book for you, but because you do find out pretty early on who did it. But it really sort of gets into the why done it side of things, the psyche, the history there. So if people prefer that, then this might be a book that they might like.
Oh, I love it. I love it because that's my favorite aspect, delving into the dark minds,
the dark inner psyche of people. Yes,
that's right. When we finish the show, Christine, we could talk about my childhood trauma and
yeah, any readers might want to have a therapist lined up,
exactly. That's why I do the show, because my therapist quit returning my phone calls for appointments. I don't know why. I just but ladies and gentlemen, by all means, please look, check out, just launched October 1st, fascinating story like we talked about, Black Mariah, Miss Christine Boyer, and of course her links and her website will all be in the description of the show. And y'all go check this book out. It's incredible. And I tell you what, Christine, I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule of day jobbing and great indie creating and coming on to Cocktails with Cav with me.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, I really do want to thank you. For all of us independent creators out here, folks like you who really help sort of give us a platform and give us a chance to talk about our works, it's invaluable. So I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, the pleasure, like I said, is all mine. So ladies and gentlemen, please check out the links in the description for Miss Christine Boyer and her great new novel, Black Mariah. Christine, cheers from New Orleans.
Cheers from the Boston area, Framingham. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.